welcome back to Grassy Springs Farms. We've got a pretty good rainstorm going on here. It's going to rain all day today and I think all day tonight. And we're wet, needless to say. I've been outside, I'm soaking wet, doing a few things, feeding cows, cleaning the feed barn out this morning. We got this little 2750 in here. I didn't take a video of taking the injection pump off, but pulled it in the shop in December before Christmas. It was cold. I didn't get it pressure washed like I wanted to, but I need to get it pulled off to get the pump sent off. Just got the pump back the other day. And so, excuse me, I've been sick this week as well. So we're going to get back in here and just put this injection pump on and kind of talk to a few things about how I pulled it off as we go through it. Well, before we get started too much here, I don't have my tripod with me, but we'll show you a few things. So these little pumps, they mount these three bolts here. You got this is your front cover right here, plate. You've got your fuel lines and everything. The biggest thing was up here was there's a gear on this one, and to get that gear off, it's got two bolt holes in it, and you have to pull it. And John Deere makes a special puller for that, but John Deere really likes that puller, let me tell you. And so I tried a couple of different pullers, nothing would work, and I thought, well, I'll just make one. I'll get the dimensions of the holes. And then, excuse me, I remembered that I had a gear puller for a 5.9 Cummins 12 valve, and so lo and behold, it did work. It didn't fit down inside of here of our front cover like I'd like, and push on the shaft of the injection pump. So I had to work it a little bit. It kind of flexed this front aluminum plate here. I was very careful trying not to make sure I busted it, and then I just kind of had to tap on the injection pump with a rubber mallet, and it loosened up once I had the bolts loose. So worked good in my favor. I didn't have to make anything or go borrow anything like that. So if you get in that predicament, and maybe you probably have a friend that has a 12 valve that has one of those gear pullers, that's what you could look at using to get that gear pulled off there. Now, because this injection pump has a Woodruff key on the shaft, you do not have to time these little 2750s. I'm sure 2350, 2555s, 2550s, all those are pretty much the same. You don't have to time them to pull that pump, but just make sure there's a nut on the front of the pump. Pull the cover off, pull that nut off. You do have to drain the coolant out, which is one of the biggest pain in the butts, because you have to take that radiator hose off to be able to get that into there, so you lose your coolant. But other than that, we're going to get started here putting this thing back together. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the old gasket. It didn't come off with the pump. Pump come with a new one. Clean a little bit of this stuff back. I'll probably spray a little brake cleaner on it. We want to clean that up. We want to try to avoid getting anything inside of here that's going to get into our front cover there, that area, get in our oil, and we don't need that. The reason that the injection pump was pulled off this old girl was we were getting diesel fuel into our oil, and kind of one of those weird things. The main places you look, first I always look, is my lift pump, because the lift pump that's on the other side on this tractor, a lift pump is cheap and easy to put on. You know, it's $35, something like that, and you can put it on in 15-20 minutes. And I put one on. It lasted about 6 or 8 months. No fuel got in there. So after about 6 or 8 months, started getting fuel back in it. Thought, well, maybe I got a bad lift pump or it's gone bad again. So I changed it out again. And then what happened was, that one lasted about 6 months. and we had problems again. So then I started thinking, well, maybe it's the manufacturer I'm getting them from. Maybe they're not, building them as good as they were. So I switched manufacturers. That one lasted about 6 months, 7 months, something like that. And I was at that time starting to think, well, maybe, just maybe, it's the injection pump. One tractor's got 8,500 hours on it. Kind of hoping it wasn't, but kind of figured maybe it was. I thought, well, I'll try one last thing. So I bought an electric pump, put on it. Went over a year and did not get any fuel in the oil. And thought, well, it's got to be these lift pumps, because if it was the injection pump, and I'm not messing with the injection pump right now, then I should continuously start getting fuel back in my oil. But that was not right, and after about a year, started getting it in there. So I changed the oil and went, I don't know, 2 weeks and had fuel in there. And I was like, well, I know it's not my lift pump, because that lift pump and that electric pump is not tied into anything like that. So, needless to say, broke down, pulled the injection pump off. We'll get it back together and see how it works. And hopefully that is what our problem is. So they sent me some new little ends for it. I'll show you for the lines, banjo type bolts, the way they're made. All right, new gasket. Now I left that cover holding that gear on there, and you can see the tube when it's threaded in there. I left that puller on the outside, and let's see, where am I? Another thing I might do, spray down my injector lines a little bit. Some of them was a little bit nasty when I pulled them off there. Give those a little put back when I couldn't get through to clean it. We got her clean there, though, didn't we? Now, there's our little injection pump, nice and clean. Hadn't been this clean since it was new. Now we just got to feed it through there the best we can. So, a little bit of a trick. There we go. Now the other thing, I marked, oh good, my mark's still on there. So, don't know if you can see the mark here on the injection pump, but I always scratch it and then scratch it on the front cover there. That way, when put it back on there, I know the timing, because there's a little bit of timing on these as far as rotating them left and right. And so you can rotate them a little bit in advance and retard the timing just a little bit right there. Which way's which, I don't quite remember on this tractor. It depends on which way the pump drives, the gear drives, I don't remember. Oh, and I think 6mm is the bolt size on that. If you're wondering, I don't remember what that length is. Let's see here. Pan of goodies here. See if that's coming through there a little bit. Yep. Button. Let go. Let me stop there. Right there. Get me on there. I'll back them off a little bit, and then I'll readjust to where my scratch mark there and my scratch mark there are on. I'm doing this so I get that gear pulled up there evenly and get this front nut put on. That seems to be the best way to work it on there. Wasn't that one? It was this one right here. In there and that. Now I have to go over to the book and see what this nut torques to. That's not where I'm at right at the moment. I'll get it on there and tighten up on the pump, and then I'll loosen these back up and rotate them. And then we'll start hooking everything back up. And then I'll torque it. This, we'll just use the wrench a little bit. Now, so it's going to have to rotate a little bit to the right. Loosen this bottom up just a tad more. That was pretty loose. Right there. Drop down just a tad. Right there. Looks like that's where we got her. All right, I'm liking that. I'll check all the torque specs on everything before we do any firing it up. But for right now, all right. Keel cable should hook in there. Take a pair of vice grips. There we go. Alright, that spring's hooked in there. Alright. Got our front fuel line up here. It's got a plug. Yeah, I probably should have taken that out before I stuck it on there. But I don't imagine it's too much. It's just awkward to get to. Yep. Little plastic plug. This line right here, I believe, is a return line. Tweak just a little bit. Now I'll get everything started. I'm not really gonna tighten everything up until I got everything else lined up, because I may goof up and get my sequence wrong. Now, these fuel lines, once they've been tweaked around or bent around just a little bit, they don't always match up perfectly. That one started. So right here, excuse me again, right here on the, put some tape over that. Let's just kind of work on peeling that out from all that and expose those holes where the injector lines go to. Again, it's easier to take this off before I mount it, but where I still had a little bit of grime on these because I didn't get them quite as clean as I wanted. I couldn't pressure wash because it was cold when I put it in there. I left it on there to keep dirt from getting in there while I was fiddling with it. But it's giving me a few problems here. That's all right. Okay. So, with the new pump, I had a couple of these that were bad, and so they sent them. So here's what we got. These are your injector line holders, and if you ever remove these or whatever, one thing you got to realize is you got a couple of these. One goes on top, one goes on the bottom. So when we go to put them in, we got to make sure we put one on one side, one on the other. These are our washers. So that's not too bad. These outside two aren't bad at all. Those two are stuck together. Now I sent all the old ones with the pump. Oh, I already got one on it. Sent all the old ones with the pump, so I don't have any of my old ones back. All right. There's the two easiest ones on there. Over there. Here's a little bit. Unfortunately, thank you, anyway. All right. That's what I want to. Oh, there's a little bit more for. It's got a little Yeah, I'm ready to take it now. Okay, finally got all that tape off there. Now, so if we work our fingers in here, add the washer over the holder. I don't have it on the bottom side. Get the, probably can't see it because I'm blocking it. But I'm gonna slide under there with my finger. It slid too far, I didn't catch it. All right, so let's try it again. I think I got it that time. All right, got that one. All right, and this other one, these two washers are kind of more stuff together. I should pull my bracket socket out because they're going to be in my way right now. All right. Not a lot of room to work with the block back here. So getting this line, getting it all lined up is a little bit on the tough side. I don't remember it being that hard when it came out. I can get to run directly through there. Well, still having difficulty. Even worse. Washer fell off. I found it. Okay. All right, still working on getting this one in. I don't remember having this problem taking it off, but it doesn't want to clear. I'll stress this line a little bit, but getting this other washer in here is going to be the trick. Okay, so in true John Deere fashion, I couldn't get that back fuel line bolt in. So I had to loosen the bolts that hold the injection pump to be able to get that, because there was not enough clearance between the block and the injection pump to slide it in. So then I had to rotate everything out this way. So look, make sure that my injection pump looks like it's back in the spot it's in. It looks pretty good. I've got the throttle and the fuel line to put on, and then we should be ready to get going with it. So let's see if we can get you where we can see here in a second. All right, so throttle's just gonna hook right here. That's pretty simple. But before that, we'll need to put our fuel line. I've kind of got tucked up out of the way up there, right here. Now, like I say, anytime you pop a line around, move it, they don't always line back up exactly where you had them. All right, that looks like it's starting to go there. Well, it's not a 15, it's a 16. There's a 16. Set that on there. I've got a washer and a clip to go on it. These are a 14 millimeter. Tighten all of them down. We'll tighten that down. We'll double check everything. I'll check the torque specs on our mount bolts and our nut that holds our drive gear on, and then we should be ready to get some fluids in her, get the hose on over here and get some fluids in her and get her started. All right, we'll get back with you when we get to that point. All right, so we'll set our torque wrench here. We're going to tighten the front nut 60 foot-pounds. We're going to tighten the mount bolts 18. Let's go on and set her to 60. I'll have to check. This one may not go down to 18. I may have to get a different one. All right, there's 60. All right. Yep, we barely get there. 10, 18. Okay. My guess is just by tightening with the wrench, I probably already hit the torque mark. Now, one thing I did earlier, I don't think I explained it when I was doing it, but I had the pump rotate all the way away from the block, and then after I tightened that up a little bit, and then I rotated it all the way to the block. And basically what I'm doing there is taking out any slop in those gears up there. All right. So other than putting front cover back on and my fuel line holders. The injection pump is back on. All we've got to do is put our cover on, put our lower radiator hose back on. That was a pretty new hose, so I'm not going to exchange it. If you've got a kind of a iffy hose, I'd probably be changing it then. Put new oil back in it, and then we'll get it started up.